I'm Tim, welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Blancpain 50 Fathoms Bathyscaphe dive watch. You can see and you can purchase this unique bracelet-borne variation on the Bathyscaphe on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Yep, that card up there at any point during the video to see our full sales listing for this watch, with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this reference 5000 Bathyscaphe. Now you'll note on my wrist 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. The watch wears much more compact than the traditional reference 50 Fathoms, the one that's been around since 2007. This watch debuted at Baselworld 2013, and it was always designed to be a more discreet, more purposeful dive watch, not necessarily the flamboyant Cadillac diver of the 2007 50 Fathoms. This one's a little bit more stripped down, perhaps for the dive watch purist. Now you'll note 43 millimeters across the round of the case compared to the 45 of the standard 50 Fathoms. That's not inclusive of the crown. It is quite slim. Only 13 millimeters thick. It actually looks thicker than it is, and it easily slides underneath even fairly tight dress cuffs and formal sleeves. Now from lug to lug, there are two ways to measure this. Throw it on a NATO strap, and Blancpain makes a beautiful one, and you'll measure from lug to lug. The watch is a very reasonable 50 millimeters. Now the rigidmost outcropping of the bracelet, the reference 70 bracelet, you can see does flare a bit beyond the lug ends, creating a horizontal distance across the wrist of a still manageable 52.5 millimeters. Now, the bracelet is a very special piece. I will say that you hardly ever see a Bathyscaphe on a bracelet, so I have to be honest, this being the first example I've ever encountered, I did not know what a Bathyscaphe's bracelet looked like. And you can see it's designed to be a little bit more open than the X71 on the traditional 50 Fathoms. Definitely a airier, lighter, more modernist aesthetic. Like the Bathyscaphe itself, it uses satin finish to good advantage. Satin finish removing the blinding polished glare of the traditional reference 50 Fathoms, in addition to removing the polished glare of the high polish X71 bracelet. It also removes a lot of the visible mass of the bracelet, creating channels and gaps that are not only superb for venting the wrist on a hot day. You can see just how beautifully channeled it is on the bottom. Nothing oil, sweat, grit, water is getting pinned underneath your wrist here, but the evacuation between the intermediate links really does create a unique and handsome and very modern aesthetic that's a bit at odds with the traditional 50 Fathoms. And again, that's why this model's offered alternatives. Now it's a beautifully made, fully milled out double deployant. Close it in any order. It's not sensitive to closing order. Twin trigger released. Very impressive, very, very solid. But you will note that there is no dive extension built in. Now, 50 Fathoms never disappoint in terms of fit and finish, but the Bathyscaphe has a little bit of a cool austerity to it that you don't see in the traditional 50 Fathoms. The case gets a lot of mileage out of character lines and faceting, and you can see the taper of the bevel along the case flank. Minimal knurling to the bezel. This one has more resistance to it and sharper detents than that standard 50 Fathoms, but it features a nearly indestructible ceramic insert that's quite appealing, using a variation of Omega's liquid metal technology to actually inlay metal within the ceramic and highly scratch-resistant bezel. Small luminescent pearl, so as with all unidirectional bezel dive watches, you can line the pearl up with the minute hand, and now you've got an impromptu 0 to 60 minute timing organ. The dial, a brilliant sunburst, sort of, I suppose IWC would call this ardoise, I would call it anthracite. It has a very strong directional grain that reacts sharply with the light of my light box and explosively with direct sunlight. Hands and indices, beautifully luminescent, easy to view at night, all in polished white gold, quite attractive. And the caliber 1315 never disappoints. Blancpain really does go above and beyond with the finish of these dive watch movements, because for a utilitarian watch class, and frankly one in which there competing against a much lower echelon of movement finish, even in the relatively high 5-figure dive watch range. The anglage on these bridges is among the best I've seen. It's big, fat, rounded, and mirror polished. All of the jewel sinks are equally gorgeous. There's a wonderful dressage or graining across the bridges. It's not a traditional finish, there's no Côte de Genève, but the same level of attention to detail is lavished on the edge of the rotor, which is a beautiful blackened 18-karat gold mass. Now, the movement itself, 35 joules, 4 Hz modern beat rate. It does feature hacking, so you pull the crown, you stop the balance, you can synchronize it to a reference time, and there is a quick set for the date mechanism. It is a very precise timepiece. 3 mainspring barrels ensure even release of torque across its entire 120-hour power reserve, and in case you're wondering, 108 turns to fully wind it manually, but you shouldn't need that with an efficient winding system and a large winding mass. The watch is a technical and aesthetic marvel, inside and out, and the inside is largely due to that spectacular movement. Free-sprung, it's very resistant to shock-induced timing deviations, and with a silicone hairspring, it's also resistant to magnetism. With 300-meter water resistance, this is your full-service luxury watch. For formal and casual attire, for a bathing suit or business suit. See it and buy it on our website.